please.
Thank you. I have, I think, two questions about the names in the book. Maybe one for David and one for Mia.
Okay.
So the names are often very important, and the characters talk about the meanings of the characters' names. And I noticed especially that, David, you translated the name of the hunter, Archangel Bullseye, but other names which have meanings like Maria Mar, for example, are not translated. So I was wondering how you went about dealing with that kind of issue. How do you decide whether to translate a name and how to translate it? And maybe if I can also just mention my other one, my question for Mia would be, how unusual are these names in Mozambique? Would it be surprising to meet somebody who was called Maria Mar or Naftalinda if you were traveling around Mozambique?
You start, David?
Well, yes, it's kind of nine years since I translated this novel, so kind of tactics change a little over time. So I don't have a kind of rule that I always stick to when translating names into English, but it seemed to me that you know, Archie Bullseye fitted perfectly this particular character, given that he was a hunter and that he was a kind of renowned hunter who had apparently won a contest to come and shoot the lions. With Maria Mar, I felt that I couldn't really create a sufficiently poetic alternative in English at that stage when I was translating it. And so a choice has to be made quite quickly, you know, because translation is done fairly fluently over a period of months, and you have to make quick decisions. And so that's how, you know, Archangel Bullseye, which kind of shortened conveniently to Archie Bullseye, became the hunter in English, whereas Maria Mar, I felt, was suitably poetic and remained in Portuguese, just as Silencia did in Portuguese, because Silencia is compatible with silence. Why call her silence? Why not Silencia? And it's also a way of kind of, I suppose, building a bridge between two worlds. One world which is kind of based in the use of Portuguese, although not exclusively, and one which is, you know, being read by people who don't know Portuguese, who only know English.
Ok, no meu caso,
Well, in my
os nomes
case,
são
the
essenciais para
names,
eu
they
perceber
are
quem é o personagem.
essential for me to understand these characters and who
Eles
they
ganham
are.
realidade com duas
They
coisas. Primeiro,
become
quando eu
real with
os
two
coloco
things.
em discurso
First,
direto,
when I have them
quando
in
eu começo a
direct
ouvir a voz
discourse, when I
destas
start
pessoas, eu começo a
listening to
perceber
their
que corpo eles
voices,
têm,
I
que
start to
realidade
understand
corporal
even
eles
their
têm.
bodies. What is
No
their
caso dos nomes,
bodily
eu
reality?
pretendo mostrar
Also, in the
que,
case of names, my
ao mesmo
intention
tempo, tudo aquilo é inventado.
is to show that at the same time, it is
Os
only
nomes nas
creation.
línguas
It is
indígenas de
invented.
Moçambique
The names in indigenous
e esses
languages
são
in
ditados por
Mozambique,
uma
they
lógica
are
que tem a ver
one
com os
thing,
ancestrais,
and they
etc.
have a logic that
Os
is
nomes
connected to
que eu
ancestors.
construo em
The
português
names that I
têm outra
build in
lógica que também é a
Portuguese, they have a
lógica da
different
realidade
logic,
social moçambicana.
which is the logic
Isto
of
é,
the social
é
reality
muito
in
possível
Mozambique.
encontrar em Moçambique alguém chamado
So you could
Silêncio.
find someone called
Muito, quer dizer, é
Silencia.
provável,
It is
tal como é
likely,
provável encontrar
just like you
pessoas
could
chamadas
find someone
castigo,
called castigo,
alegria,
sofrimento,
felicidade.
suffering,
A
happiness,
lógica, quando
alegria,
se constrói em
felicidade, joy.
Moçambique, na vida comum, na
So in
vida
Mozambique,
cotidiana,
in
quando
our
se dá
everyday
nome a
life,
filho,
the way we
tem,
name
tem,
children,
há duas racionalidades. É
we
que
have these
uma,
two different
se é em
rationals.
português, é
If it is
uma
in
coisa ligada com um
Portuguese,
momento.
it is
Por
something
exemplo, o
connected
filho
to that
chamado
specific moment.
castigo, obviamente,
So a
nasceu num
child
momento mau para a
that's
família,
called
não é? Portanto, é
castigo,
como
which
se
is a
fosse uma coisa para
punishment,
esconjurar esse momento que ele é
was
nomeado
born in a
dessa
bad
maneira.
moment
A lógica
for the
depois de
family.
mudar os nomes nas línguas indígenas tem a ver
But
com
in
outras razões,
indigenous
porque são
languages, this has to do with
os nomes
different
são passados
reasons.
pelos ancestrais
Names
e
are
que são
transferred
convocados
from
por
one ancestor to the
sonhos e
next.
por outros caminhos, não é?
It has to do with dreams and all that.
Mas talvez não Naftalinda, não? Que tem
But
também
maybe not
Naftalinda não,
Naftalinda. Yes, not
uma construção minha
Naftalinda.
mesmo,
Naftalinda
mas
was a creation of mine.
Às vezes penso que
But
inventei
Christina,
coisas e depois
sometimes
descobri que
I think that
elas,
I've invented things, and then I find out that they actually exist.
em que os
And
nomes
in Brazil,
extraordinários também,
for
não é? Porque às
instance,
vezes
you have
casam, às vezes é o
extraordinary
nome
names.
metade da mãe, do pai,
You
do
know,
avô.
sometimes it's half of the
Então,
mother name and half of the father's name.
Uma vez
Brasil é
nome que era 2, 3 Oliveira Pinto. Também o nome
Yeah,
bem
there is one name that's called
estranho.
1, 2, 3
Mas
de Oliveira
o
Pinto.
David, acho que você
1, 2,
também
3 de
fez uma
Oliveira
tradução
Pinto.
fantástica.